I'm sorry. I had to stop my car because I'm having a panic attack. Donald Trump, in his speech, just declared war on America. What is happening? What is happening? I'm in the middle of a panic attack. That's all I have to say.
Donald Trump failed to build the wall. Donald Trump failed to have Mexico pay for the part of the wall he did build. Donald Trump failed at his immigration policy so badly in his first term, he ran again saying he fixed the problem. He failed to fix the first time. Donald Trump failed to introduce an infrastructure bill despite saying he'd have one in 2 weeks repeatedly. Donald Trump failed to introduce a health care bill despite a press conference where he had stacks of paper he said was the health care bill. Donald Trump failed to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Donald Trump failed to end it in 10 months. Donald Trump has failed to get a ceasefire. Donald Trump has failed to keep Ukrainians from being murdered at a higher rate under his presidency. Donald Trump has failed our allies who are now not ordering planes from American companies because of his foreign policy failures. Donald Trump failed to keep us from bombing a country unprovoked and then failed at the bombing so badly he's still trying to get a deal done with Iran. Donald Trump is failing at preventing a genocide in Gaza. Donald Trump is failing economically. Bank of America says that spending in the U.S. is down in dining, hotels, and airfare 3 months in a row for the first time since 2008 when the economy crashed. Soybean farmers in Nebraska are losing billions of dollars to China because he's failed at his foreign policy with tariffs, but he's also failing at tariffs because he tacoed again and pushed tariffs with China down the tracks 90 more days. Donald Trump failed to balance the budget. Donald Trump failed to reduce the deficit. Donald Trump failed to protect constitutional rights of due process. Donald Trump has failed to uphold his oath. Donald Trump is a failure.
Americans, you need to know that there is a tracker and a database of all of Donald Trump's authoritarian actions since he came to power in the second term, January 2025. This database is being maintained by a notable British academic, Professor Christina Pagel, and her team, and essentially every time Donald Trump engages in a new authoritarian action, an undemocratic action, something that undermines the rule of law, suppresses dissent, whatever, they log it, they track it, they do charts and data on it, the lot. So they categorize all of these actions into 5 main categories. The first is undermining democracy and the rule of law. The second is suppressing dissent. The third is undermining civil rights and engaging in corruption. The fourth is attacks on science and academia. And the fifth is the aggressive foreign policy, the destabilizing foreign policy. So those are the 5 categories, and they log them as they come in. And then they chart them out month by month. And what you can see from that is that the rate of Trump's authoritarian actions is accelerating. It has increased every month. And if you look at the breakdown of categories, you can see the phase that Donald Trump is now moving into is a lot of suppression of dissent. So this is a fantastically useful resource, particularly because the mainstream media, the Republicans who care, and the Democrats are all completely incapable of dealing with this barrage of authoritarian action that's coming along. But that's part of the plan. As Steve Bannon says, flood the zone. You just flood the zone with these aggressive actions. But the right answer to flood the zone is actually map the flood. Because then you're not dancing from topic to topic and not knowing which to juggle now or which to keep on at. But rather you can say, look, each new thing fits into a pattern. We're mapping the pattern. Here is the authoritative reference for the pattern. This is your resource. So this is a fantastic resource that I want everyone to be aware of. And you can go and look it up yourself at trumpactiontracker.info. I will put that link in here as well in the comments. But essentially, in a time when mainstream media let us down, it is so important that we support all of these emergent citizen and expert capacities that can bubble up so that we can actually take the battle that way. So please do go and have a look at that, share it, support, do what you can. It's fascinating. Thank you.
I ain't never seen Vegas look like this on a Saturday at 1 in the morning. Where's the people? Holy shit, dude. What the fuck? Like, I can't make this shit up. Holy shit, bro. This is a Saturday at 1 a.m. Where are the fucking people? Look, even on the Venetian Bridge over there. Nobody. Holy shit.
Donald Trump is pushing America towards a martial law type state where he is using the military as his personal police force illegally. This should concern the hell out of you. Here's everything that you need to know. As of filming this video, Donald Trump has deployed American troops against American citizens in Memphis, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Portland. The White House is also considering sending a highly specialized Army infantry unit that fought in both Iraq and Afghanistan into Portland to quell protesters. Last week, when Donald Trump gave a speech to his top generals at the Pentagon, he told them, and I quote, "The real enemy is the enemy from within," and that in deploying the military in these cities that we've already gone over and likely more to come, he is fighting a quote-unquote war, a war from within. He has also now directed the military to arrest protesters that they find burning the American flag. This is illegal, not only because federal law prevents the military from engaging in law enforcement duties such as making arrests, but also because burning the American flag is constitutionally protected under the First Amendment per a SCOTUS ruling from the 1980s. What Trump is doing is not about your safety, nor the safety of this country, it's about power. The commander-in-chief is using the U.S. military as a political weapon against American citizens, and in the process, he is breaking the law and violating his oath to uphold the Constitution.
If you're wondering when our fellow Americans are going to recognize the damage that Donald Trump is doing to this country, I want to point out that more and more Americans are. This is easy to miss because it doesn't get covered much, but public opinion has been moving quickly and dramatically away from the president. Among young people, he's lost 34 points of support. And I think it's because he's failing to keep his most basic promises. He hasn't brought prices down. They're going up because of his actions. The economy as a whole is getting worse. And most Americans see that and recognize it. And it's showing up in the way that they think and talk about the president. So don't fall for this attempt to make you feel disempowered. Raising our voices makes a difference. It's clearly having an effect, and we've got to keep it up.
Word on the street right now is that people are barely surviving in America. And guess what? The ones who voted him are speaking out and they are crying. Like the outrage is everywhere. I feel so bad for them. How would you vote something that would turn around and finish your life? People are crying. A lot of things are changing in America by the day. Keep watching these videos anyways. I'll be back with the commentaries.
I now understand why they call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. And it's because the American people were able to go to bed peacefully at night, knowing that the lights was going to be on and bills was going to be paid on time. Joe Biden was like, Tammy, I've been grown. I paid my bills are paid. But under Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, the chaos administration, the bills are not being paid. And the lights have been cut off. This is what you get when you vote for chaos. This is what you get when you vote for incompetence. And the cherry on top of all of it is because Donald Trump isn't getting his way right now. You know what his plan is? He is going to permanently fire federal workers in this furlough, hurting the American people. He is going to cut more money from Medicare and Medicaid and possibly end the subsidies that are set to end in Obamacare in December. He doesn't want to renew it. All things to hurt the American people. We had a choice last year, and I will die on this hill. The American people chose wrong. Kamala Harris should be in that White House right now. And if she were in this White House right now, we would still have a government open and working for the American people. And now we're all in hell because we didn't choose her.
Malcolm S. Ritchie, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, U.S. Army Reserve, 3 combat tours in Iraq, 32 years of service in the United States Army, Army Reserve, and Army National Guard. And I'm here today not as a candidate, making that disclaimer. I am here to express my outrage at the meeting in Quantico, Virginia, between Hegseth, Trump, and all of the senior officers in the United States military and the senior NCO Corps. those generals, admirals, and senior NCOs sat there in stone-faced silence, listening to the most outrageous speeches ever made in United States military history by the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States. Secretary of Defense on his ridiculous rant trying to take to school generals, admirals, senior NCOs with 10 times the leadership ability, the education, and the experience that the failed Major Hegseth could ever begin to understand. And then they have to listen to the cognitively declined President of the United States, who I would now name as Dictator of the United States, tell this audience that they will be expected to wage war against the American people. That's exactly what Trump said. So don't get on here and try to tell me that he didn't say it. Training grounds in American cities. What does that mean? They're going to go in locked and loaded into American cities, American neighborhoods, and use American citizens as pop-up targets on a live fire training range? This is absolutely astounding abuse of power, which makes, by my estimation, Donald Trump a domestic enemy of the Constitution. Because my oath is to the Constitution, and don't you think for 1 minute, Mr. Trump, that there aren't millions of other veterans and retirees that feel exactly the same way. We are enraged. We are beyond enraged. And we will protest peacefully. And we will go out and vote for the candidates of our choice in the 2026 midterm election, which you better not even try to stop. If you try to stop that by force, that's the nightmare scenario. And I'm not saying by violence. I'm saying politically, basically, you're done, Trump. You're done, Hegseth. It won't be long before you're politically thrown down that dark, deep hole. But don't think it's not going to cause a lot of trauma on the American people as they clutch to the roots of the hole on the way down, trying to survive something that they cannot possibly survive, because this nation is a republic and it will not fall to a fascist regime.
I'm a psychiatrist living in Seattle, and I'm here to talk about the most recent executive order ending crime and disorder on American streets, because I fear that it is going to actively kill many of my patients and make the crisis of not actually being able to access mental health services in America exponentially worse. As someone that currently works in community mental health settings, I take care of a lot of patients that are currently or have previously experienced homelessness. And prior to my experience as a psychiatrist, I got a master's degree in health policy, specifically focusing in housing policy, including the effects of encampment sweeps on an individual's physical and mental health. And outside of this, I am an actual expert in civil commitment. As a psychiatrist, that is one of the most difficult and common and challenging things that we do, and so we are actually experts. And so I can say, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, as a person that has done a lot of research in housing and policies, as someone that has loved people that have experienced homelessness, that currently cares for people experiencing homelessness and mental illness, forced institutionalization will not help people. It will actively harm people. And even if that were not the case, we do not have the resources to involuntarily commit every single person experiencing a mental health crisis or homelessness, because psych beds are full. We do not have the resources. If they were moved into the hospital, there's not affordable housing available to send them out into. And so all this does is further criminalizes people that are already stigmatized by society, that are already incredibly resource limited. And forced displacements just further traumatizes, destabilizes, and makes recovery harder. Criminalizing survival just because people are outside in a way that is not deemed physically acceptable by society is actually just cruel and unusual punishment. And so all of this is to say that this executive order is under the guise of helping people, but it's actually about disappearing people. And this is just another form of political control and actively trying to make the problem go away by just making the people go away. It is weaponizing psychiatry and the care that we are supposed to be providing people in order to do so. Instead of building systems that treat human beings with dignity and respect, we are just enforcing structural violence against an already stigmatized, traumatized, and actively harmed group of individuals, when so much research shows that housing is one of the most important things that we can provide people. Housing first saves lives. In making people be sober in order to get housing actually reduces them ever recovering from any substance use, and also people can use substances and still deserve to be alive. And basically, this is all to say that it is very clear that no mental health providers, healthcare providers, social services providers, harm reductionists were consulted in the making of this bill. And we know that our current government does not actually seem to care about any of that, but we should not be fooled by the language that pretends like they do. Thank you.
One thing I will say about the Trump presidency is, as bad as I thought it'd be, it is way worse. Way worse than I thought it'd be.
I heard at school today that the government shutting down is all the Democrats' fault. So I decided to look into it. Here's what I found. Sources in the caption. Okay, so right now, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That means they basically hold the purse strings when it comes to government funding. But here's the twist. Democrats are refusing to just pass a plain funding bill because it doesn't protect health care. If the Affordable Care Act subsidies expire, people's insurance premiums could go up by more than 75%. And the congressional office even warned that up to 4 million people could lose their health insurance in the next decade if these subsidies aren't extended. So Republicans are saying Democrats are stalling and holding us hostage. But Democrats are saying we're not about to let our families get crushed by insane healthcare prices just so politicians can look tough. So is it really fair to just blame the Democrats? Republicans literally control all three branches right now. If they wanted a clean deal, they could push it through. But instead, we get the blame game, while regular people like us are going to be the ones who end up paying the price.
If your anxiety attacks and your panic attacks are making you believe that Trump is winning, he's not. I'm here to tell you he's not. His administration is failing, epically failing. Over 95% of what they have tried to do has been shut down. And that was the plan of the Shotgunas, to do it so fast and so furiously that it overwhelmed our nervous systems. It put in too much information, put a lot of shocking images out there, like the ICE agents in masks grabbing people off streets, while they're doing much less deportation than Biden did and didn't have to do it in a scary way. All of that is just to try and scare us and make us look like they're these strong men in control, right? They go pick up the students that are protesting on behalf of Palestine. We're going to get you. We're going to deport you. Well, guess what? More of those groups are coming together. More of them are going to protest. Why? Because we're fucking America. And we're not going to shut up. We're not going to back down. He's making us think we are because we're scared and because we haven't gone out like other countries and, just rushed the capitals. We aren't really able to do that the way that they are. We have so many more people. We have such bigger land. And when they say, well, just use your pew-pews, it's like, well, if everyone has a pew-pew, it's like no one has a pew-pew. Like, it has to be us against the government to actually do that. Going horizontally with those, that doesn't work. It has to be us versus them altogether. So, and the person that really points this out, how much they're failing, is Elon Musk. Even now he's saying, I don't really want to put money into politics anymore. I spent enough. And here was this guy thinking he was going to rule the day, saying, if you don't do what Trump says, I'll primary you with my money. Here, look, I'm going to give you a prize if you go vote for this judge. I'll give you $1 million. The guy lost. The governments that he put his money in to get the far right people to win, they all lost because the rest of the world sees who they are. They don't want to do that. The Tesla trucks, they're like down 35% in value. They're having to take all the trade-ins. They have 10,000 unsold ones, and one country just returned all of them. It was like Denmark or somewhere. They just said, take them back. No one wants them. There's watchdog efforts to get all the records of Doge because they know that was a bunch of BS. And they're all over that. They know that that Doge was the fraud, and that's what they want to look at now. And then you've got Trump, Mr. Tariff. I did 200 tariff deals last week, and they all came to me. And then the other day, it's like, hey, 150 countries haven't done tariffs, and okay, I'm only going to give you a couple more weeks. That sounds very, very bold, very in charge. you guys better hurry up, or you're going to get a strongly worded letter. Does that sound like someone that's winning? No. We have consumer sentiment is plunging. And why is it plunging? Because this time the rich people are like, yeah, we agree with the poor people. This doesn't look good. This looks sketchy as fuck. Your tariffs and all your erratic decisions, scary, scary. Does that look like winning? It's not winning. It's just that he was able to overload everybody's systems. He doesn't come back out and say, okay, so almost everything I did got thrown out or is on the verge of being thrown out. So, you know, again, that's why he throws out the ICE videos with guys with the masks on. That's for his viewers to make it look like, oh, look, we're really in charge. And then it's there to scare or intimidate us or the people that he's going after. But it ends up as a lose, lose, lose. And honestly, it just pisses us off. And people on the right, it helps wake them up because it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you could just deport them. But now you want to have a Hunger Games version of deporting people for Kristi Noem, the woman who doesn't know what habeas corpus is. She just got asked that. And she said something like, oh, it's the constitutional right of the president to be able to deport people at will. Something like that. That's not what it is. That's what I'm saying. They're incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. The only thing Trump is good at is being a con man. And in my opinion, he is the world's best con man. And that's because he lies so brazenly, so boldly, with confidence. And he also had years and years and years of Hollywood holding him up, creating him into this fictional character that he wasn't. He was already having bankruptcies before he even did that. And then Mark Burnett just put a polished turd up there, a gold polished turd, and said, hey, do you want to come in his show and be like him? And that was 14 years of that being put into people's head, that he's a successful businessman, hopping in and out of his helicopter, all these beautiful women, you know, whatever. So they are indoctrinated fully, and they don't get the full truth of all the way he's failing. But he is failing. Does all this feel and look good? No. But we are fighting back. The pushback is working. And the boiling of the frogs has slowed down, if you've noticed. He's going to come out with things here and there to try and scare people. And as he gets cornered and found out, is he going to get erratic? Yes. Will he get paranoid? Yes. But the longer this goes, the less prepared they will be and the more prepared we will be and the less afraid we will be, because we now, too, can see what a con he is. How he really can't back up what he's saying. Why? Because there's 300 and whatever million of us that aren't going to put up with it. Okay? So, breathe. He's failing. The whole world knows he's failing. And if you look at all the things that have been thrown out, all the way that different people with money are going, you're not a good bet. You aren't coming out as tough and as strong as you thought you were going to. And you're doing things that make you look sketchy, like taking that plane, which now they know he asked for it. And Schumer knows that. So, breathe. It's going to be okay. This is just going to take time and persistence and continually taking the next steps forward to say, yeah, we're not backing down. You can't get us all. And he eventually will break. So just hang in there, because they're failing.
This right here is a picture of America's top military generals listening to Donald Trump give his rambling speech today, where he insulted them, he insulted our country, he declared war on American cities. Like, this man right here is the perfect representation of how this speech went. These are military leaders in the United States from different bases all over the world, Asia, Europe, of course here in the United States, and more. Just look at their faces, all of them. And that tells you exactly how this speech went today. During Donald Trump's tirade, he insulted their weight, their leadership. He said we're going to use blue cities as military training grounds, and essentially declared war on American cities that he doesn't like. And multiple times throughout Donald Trump's speech, he asked for these military leaders to clap. He was essentially begging them to applaud him. He called the room silent. Now, these military officials are meant to be nonpartisan. They're not meant to clap or boo or anything like that. But remember, in Donald Trump's first term, our military actually stood in the way of his dictatorial tendencies. And so hopefully the men and women in that room do so once again.
Trump just made America's biggest mistake. They drove the workers away. Now the whole country is falling apart. Latest news from the White House. Massive evictions backfired. California farmers watched $2 billion worth of crops rot in the fields. 4,000 farm workers disappeared overnight. Grocery prices up 40% in 2 weeks, and it's only going to get worse. Construction sites in Texas look like ghost towns, half-finished hospitals, schools, bridges, just abandoned there. Contractors say we lost 80% of our workforce in one raid. Seniors in Florida are suffering the most. Nursing homes can't find people to work 30% to 50% staff shortages everywhere. One nursing home has closed forever. These undocumented workers aren't taking jobs. They're doing jobs that no one else wants to do. The streets of LA are now littered with trash restaurants close at 6 p.m. No dishwashers, no cooks, no cleaners. America wants them gone, but forgets who keeps us alive. Is this enforcement, or will the country destroy itself?
And y'all can say what y'all want about Donald Trump, but that man is inspiring, truly inspiring. I don't care, y'all can whoop me, because if an orange, bad-built, beluga whale-ass bitch with dementia can be president, oh, baby, there ain't a job on earth that I'm not qualified for, okay? I'm gonna be a doctor tomorrow, and then I'm gonna be an astronaut on Tuesday. And then we gonna combine them, and I'm gonna do BBLs in space on Wednesday, okay? Yeah. Astro booty out this world. Quit playing with me.
Happened in another red district in Florida in another special election. Democrats are overperforming in areas of Florida. In South Florida, we're overperforming in Michigan. We're overperforming in Wisconsin. We're overperforming in Iowa. Overperforming everywhere. Why is that? It's not because Republican voters suddenly decided, I'm going to be a Democrat now. Part of it has to do with the fact that even though the Democratic Party has historically low approval ratings, which is true, voter enthusiasm on the left is still like super high. So we may not like our Democrats, but man, we're excited to vote for them. It's weird, but it's what's happening. Over on the right, voter enthusiasm is in the toilet. And they're not switching over to Democrats, like I said. What they're doing is nothing. And that's honestly one of the worst things the Republican Party can experience. Hell, we saw it in elections this week. Republicans are disillusioned. Republicans are sitting out. The reason I say that sitting at home is worse than these Republicans even saying, well, I'm going to be a Democrat now for Republicans, is because a voter that switches parties is an indication that this person is always open to going back and forth, right? Maybe I'll vote for it. Maybe I'll vote for that. Maybe I'll go over here. Maybe I'll be in the middle for a bit. But a voter that stays home, that makes the conscious choice to not put forth any effort, that's where your biggest problem is. You can win voters back if they switch parties by not being a horrible piece of crap for one cycle. The disillusioned voters, the ones who have given up, it's because their entire perception of this party and the other party and no parties, they've become jaded towards all of it. Getting that person back in the system, back in the cycle of voting is harder than it is to bring somebody back into the Republican Party after they've either become an independent or even switched.
So yeah, basically ICE came to pick me up from the county. They told me that I had to go with them because I guess whoever they called, they still said that I was, you feel me, not verified in the system and that the warrant still shows. So they told me to bring me to ICE. We stopped by another prison, the Orlando prison. We stopped by there and we picked up an inmate. He told me he was from Haiti. He's from Orlando. I mean, no, he's not from Orlando, but he was staying in Orlando. He caught a charge. He did 3 years and he was just getting ready to get released. Instead of them releasing him, he got straight on the transportation bus with us to get ready to go to ICE. So after we left the prison, we go to the ICE center. It's an ICE holding I guess like this ICE holding cell where they hold all the immigrants at. It was like at least 50, I'm gonna say at least like 40, 45 immigrants in there in at least 4 pods. They had them all filled up. It was so filled up with, to the point to where there was more transport calling in saying they was bringing more people, and they had to tell them to take them straight to the prison because there's no more room now. So they take us to this building with no words on it. It's just it looked like a storage garage to me, but it was not. It just like they took us through the back, I guess. It was gated in the back, but the front wasn't gated. They took us in, they locked the gates, they took us into the holding cell, and they told us we had to wait for an agent, like a caseworker. We had to wait for a caseworker to come speak to us about what's going on with our case or whatever. So when they put us in the room, they fed us some tuna and crackers, and then they immediately called me first out to go talk to the caseworker. So I go up to the door. My caseworker, he got some files in his hand. He reading through it, and he telling me, so like, what's this mumbo jumbo that you from the U.S. and that you a United States citizen? Like, who do you think finna believe this? So immediately I'm like confused, cause I'm like, huh? Like what? So I'm like, this is not BS. This is legit. I'm basically trying to tell them this is legit. I'm actually a U.S. citizen. I don't know what's going on with y'all system, but y'all need to look into it because what y'all doing is wrong. It's illegal. So I guess he get frustrated because he feel like I'm lying. He sent me back in the cell. Go sit me down. He walk off. He come back. He got some other papers with him, and then he like, come here. He showed me a picture of me at the airport from in Bahamas because I go see my dad every now and then. My dad got deported when I was young, and he can't come back over here, so I go see him. You know, I've been doing it since I was young. I've been back and forth just going to go see my dad. You know, so he showed me a picture of me in the airport when I was 17, saying that I'm here on a work visa. So I'm looking at the picture. He like, so who is this on this picture? I'm looking. I'm like, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And he like, so yeah, we got you. What we saying is true. Like all our information is right. I'm like, no, please. Can I get a phone call? Can I call somebody? Can I please talk to somebody, please? He like, you really want to call somebody? Who you want to call? Who you want to call? What's their number? I'm like, can I call my wife? He like, yeah, what's her number then? Like they being so aggressive with me and out to the point where I'm like, I'm scared now because I'm like, oh.
Trumpy is the first president in U.S. history to control both the House and the Senate and still have a government shutdown in each of his terms. He is a complete failure to this country.
I told you guys months ago what it was going to look like when this administration began to fail. In that video, which was seen by over 3 million people, I told you he would fail for 2 key reasons. First, because he can't lead, and second, because he would pick the wrong battles. Now let's look at the evidence that proves me right. First, on his inability to lead, we know that real leaders know how to build and empower a team. But look at what he's done. He wrote an executive order to give Elon Musk power that he didn't himself know how to wield. And despite having control of every lever of government, he told his cabinet to simply obey Musk. And it was only because his lawyers told him that wasn't technically legal that he ultimately and reluctantly admitted that his cabinet secretaries were in fact in charge of their own departments. It was his inability to lead that led to the nominations of Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Michael Waltz. 3 unqualified embarrassments whose complete fuck-up with the signal disaster put our national security at risk, not to mention the lives of American soldiers. And of course, this is all on top of his spending freeze and reckless layoffs that are either jammed up or outright blocked by the courts. It was all of these symptoms of his inability to lead that led him to my second point, his inability to pick winning battles. He's such an incompetent leader, he couldn't even deliver easy wins like tax cuts or investments to try to lower egg prices. This pushed him to a point of desperation to where he's now fighting far riskier battles over trade and hasty deportation, the latter of which highlighted by the suspension of a Justice Department lawyer named Erez Riveni for the simple fact that he failed the impossible task of defending the administration's deportation of an innocent man to El Salvador, a deportation that plainly defied a judge's order, despite his boss, Pam Bondi, giving him no evidence or explanation to support their case. But apparently to the Trump administration, it is unacceptable for a lawyer to say, I can't do my job because I have no evidence. And Pam Bondi defended the decision to suspend him by saying, at my direction, every Department of Justice attorney is required to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States. Any attorney who fails to abide by this direction will face consequences. Let's just bypass the fact that in defending the Constitution, Ruveni was absolutely advocating for the United States, and simply point out that bosses who rule with fear and punish without cause create a toxic culture of productivity-killing survivalist behavior, virtually ensuring that his already inept administration finds a way to slide even deeper past aimless ineptitude and devolve completely into a quivering, malodorous cesspool. And it's only been 2 months.
Donald Trump, the president of the United States, just gave Hamas another ultimatum, even though they never listened to him because nobody listens to Donald Trump. But listen to what he posted on social media. He says, Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have unalived and made lives unbearably miserable, culminating in the October 7th massacre in Israel, babies, women, children, old people, and many young men and women, boys and girls getting ready to celebrate their future lives together. As retribution for the October 7th attack on civilization, more than 25,000 Hamas soldiers have already been killed. Most of the rest are surrounded and militarily trapped, just waiting for me to give the word go, for their lives to be quickly extinguished. As for the rest, we know where and who you are, and you will be hunted down and unalived. I'm asking that all innocent Palestinians Immediately leave this area of potentially great future death for safer parts of Gaza. Everyone will be well cared for by those who are waiting to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, they will be given one last chance. Great, powerful, and very rich nations of the Middle East and the surrounding areas beyond, together with the United States of America, have agreed with Israel signing on to peace after 3,000 years in the Middle East. This deal also spares the lives of all remaining Hamas fighters. The details of the document are known to the world, and it is a great one for all. We will have peace in the Middle East one way or the other. The violence and bloodshed will stop. Release the hostages, all of them, including the bodies of those who are dead. Now, an agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East one way or the other. Thank you for your attention to this matter. A few things wrong with the statement, Mr. President. First of all, nobody can leave. You have them completely trapped there. Second of all, you've already given Hamas these ultimatums several times. They have nothing else to lose, as you are already obliterating the entire Palestinian population. What difference does your new threat even make? And by the way, even if they agree to your peace deal, you're still slaughtering this entire population. You're going to forcefully remove them from their homeland, and there will be no lasting peace. This is all for PR. This is just for you to try and trick your supporters into thinking that you are the peacemaker, even though you are actively fundraising a genocide and you are creating a famine that will forever go down in your name.
Y'all president said he talked to the president of Puerto Rico. The president of Puerto Rico. I can't. This is embarrassing.
We've lost decency. We've lost civility. We've lost respect for the rule of law. Lost it. We have normalized verbal abuse on the internet. We've normalized bullying. Much as the woke generation tried to, change that, it's back. And out the window goes character, integrity. I mean, nobody has great things to say about politicians. They never have. Go back to Mark Twain. But ideally, we're supposed to elect the best of us, not the worst of us. He's everything that's wrong with not just America, but with being a human being.
My name is Captain Dylan Blaha, and this message is for all U.S. military service members, especially every general and admiral meeting with Pete Hegseth on Tuesday. I'm a 13-year U.S. Army veteran who served in Afghanistan and wrote war plans while stationed at U.S. Army Europe. This morning, Donald Trump directed Pete Hegseth to deploy the U.S. military to Portland, Oregon. This is the latest illegal attempt to normalize the use of the military in U.S. cities. He authorized the military to use, quote, full force. This is authoritarianism. This is fascism. The U.S. military is not a law enforcement force, and all federalized service members must abide by the Posse Comitatus Act. All members of the United States military must disobey illegal orders. I was just following orders is not a valid defense against war crimes. Grow a spine and stand up for your fellow Americans. Otherwise, you are complicit in this fascist takeover. We're running out of time.
I think America's going to survive Trump, and I think that there's winds of change happening right now. Just look at the Jimmy Kimmel situation, where corporations are finally pushing back on the bullying and the intimidation. Moreover, I'm hearing, at least on Capitol Hill, from lots of Republican senators that they're sort of fed up. And I give Ted Cruz, who I think generally has been a jellyfish to Donald Trump's antics, I give Ted Cruz credit for sticking up for free speech. So I'm optimistic America's going to repair itself. You know why? Because America always repairs itself, and I'm a big believer in America.
What I am about to say puts a target on my back, but in moments like these, where speaking the truth comes with threats of retaliation, we have a moral and ethical duty to speak up. The Trump administration is citing falsified data and straight up lying about political violence in this country and which side of the aisle it comes from. So let's have a real conversation about political violence, because if the stakes are already this high, we might as well speak the truth. Political violence is more than just physical harm. It is the systemic use of force, intimidation, and dehumanization to achieve political goals. Does that sound familiar to you? While this entire country is built on a legacy of political violence, this administration is taking it to a whole new level. When policies are actively crafted to dismiss the needs of the many in the interest of the powerful few, that is violence. Stripping people's life-saving healthcare benefits to give tax breaks to the wealthy is violent. violent. Forcing a victimized young girl to carry a pregnancy to term to please the religious donors in your party is violence. From ICE raids to revoking investments in Black and Hispanic communities, there are endless examples of violence done by this Trump administration. The conversation the Trump administration doesn't want us having is that the culture of dehumanization and desperation that these policies create lay the groundwork for folks to escalate their levels of violence. So if they're going to manipulate this narrative to suit their political ends, I'm going to have the high-risk and honest conversation about the fact that political violence is initiated by a country's leadership and culture long before anyone pulls a trigger.
So guess who just got the tea on the other American companies that Donald Trump fucked over with his policies? For some reason, the other media outlets are not reporting it, but I'm finna say it. And when I say that they are losing money, they are losing big money, y'all. Big money. You see, it's one thing when Donald Trump is fucking with our money. Unfortunately, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, so it is what it is. But when he's fucking with the top percents coins, he might have to go into hiding. So BlackRock, which is an American company, loses $17 billion worth of investments with a Dutch pension fund. Why? Because BlackRock couldn't wait to dismantle their climate risk prevention initiatives. Turns out that the Netherlands are really big on climate risk prevention. They actually give a damn about the companies that they invest in and making sure that those companies actually put forth an effort in reducing those climate risks. But because BlackRock could not wait, they just could not wait to take advantage on the 125 environmental rules and policy rollbacks that the Trump administration established in February, hoping to cut corners, meaning that they were going to be able to pocket some more profit. They lost $17 billion as a result. $17 billion. Now, I don't know how much money you thought that you were going to be able to pocket, but you lost $17 billion, and they gave you some time. They gave you some time. The Dutch pension fund saw that you guys decided to renege on those initiatives in February. They gave you all the way up until the end of August to get your act together. And seeing as how you guys decided to stand on business, so did they. And they pulled away $17 billion. And they're not the only ones that's taking a hit. The American company called Caterpillar took a hit so big that even the White House had to talk about it. Now, you guys already know when I have the screenshots, we're reading along, okay? Key points, first bulletin. Let's go. The U.S. State Department told CNBC on Thursday that it was very troubled by Norway's $2 trillion wealth fund selling its stake in New York-listed Caterpillar. All right, the second bulletin, right? The fund management said last week that Sovereign Wealth Fund would exit Caterpillar and several Israeli banks over concerns about the ties to the conflict in the Gaza Strip. They pulled out because of ethnical concerns. Ethnical concerns. You see, the American company Caterpillar allows the use of their machinery, such as bulldozers, to be used to facilitate the current genocide that's taking place by the Israeli people to the people of Palestine. And see, this trust fund, this Norwegian trust fund, wants no parts with that. They decided that they're going to be on the right side of history, unlike America. And it's not just the machinery. They're also helping supply some of the equipment needed for the weapons. So yeah, the Norwegian company, the trust fund, they don't want that blood on their hands. They don't. But see, here are the two pieces that I'm putting together, right? Earlier this month, August 7th, American economists started coming out issuing warnings, letting us know that they're actually concerned over the state of America's economy, right? And it was actually getting worse. That same day, scrambling, the Trump administration decided to invite a whole bunch of reporters saying that they were going to show them how well that the economy actually was doing. Out of nowhere, Donald Trump comes out with this chart, or he shows a chart with no background story. We don't know what we're looking at. It's just a red line going up. And he's like, yeah, see, everything is going up. I'm pretty sure that was probably the inflation rate. But let me show you the clip.
This one chart really says it better than anything. If you look at this is great. But this chart is pretty amazing right here.
What are we looking at, Trump?
All new numbers.
In a desperate attempt in trying to divert the public's attention on the state of the economy, on the American economy, he decides to hold a impromptu press conference with all of these reporters, showing them a chart with no backstory at all, saying that the numbers are going up, they're going up. And I honestly believe that he started seeing that people were starting to figure out what was going on, and he couldn't have them figuring out too soon. And the fact that a massive report recently broke that Trump purchased $100 million worth in bonds tied to the companies that his policies directly impacted, it makes sense. It makes sense why he wouldn't want you guys to know what was going on. He's up $3.4 billion in the last 8 months. Meanwhile, American companies like BlackRock loses $17 billion due to his policies. Y'all think that's a coincidence? America proudly states that they stand with Israel, even though the American citizens are against the genocide that's taking place. And now American companies are losing money. They're losing the backing of trillion dollar worth companies and trust funds. Trillion. We're not even talking about billion anymore. Trillion. Do you know how much of a hit that is? How much of a loss that is? So yeah, Team MAGA is down. Team MAGA is down 1,000 points. They're down right now. And to be honest, I think that Donald Trump will soon start going into hiding. There was a little bit of a rumor around Labor Day that they thought that this man was gone. He was unalived, and a lot of people were celebrating it. And the reason why the rumor was able to actually be semi-successful, on top of the fact that people just don't like him, was the fact that they hadn't seen him in the public that much. Get used to it. Get used to it. I'm pretty sure this man is going to be in hiding a lot, considering he's pocketing a lot of the money that these American companies are losing. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter too much when he's stealing our money, but when he's taking money from the top percent in this country, oh yeah, off with his head.
Truth is, Americans will have to survive Trump. That is just it. They would have to survive President Trump. He has failed them. He has failed them, and he has continually failed them every day. And he's not changing. He's not backing down. Everything Kamala Harris said is what is happening, to be honest. Right now, everybody is regretting. From farmers to businesses right now that are shut down is a lot. To people losing their rights in America is a whole lot. People are barely surviving in America right now. And honestly, Trump is the reason why people are not surviving. Because he has taken away everything. Imagine Trump being the president of America and also being the president of Puerto Rico. That's really funny. But come on, this is not funny anymore. Farmers are crying. People are in debt need. People are they're barely surviving. Honestly, this has got to be the worst government ever in the history of America. This is the worst ever. I would like to know in the comments, what is your opinion about it? Is it true or is it being exaggerated online? What are you enjoying? I heard everywhere businesses, people are no longer even visiting America anymore. And you tell me that America is better? Let me hear from you. Do not forget, it's Global Gist with BJ. Subscribe, like, and share this video so we can get people's opinion in the comments. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.